Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer, thanks to Spiteful AZ for this one. Amy has 8 cards in hand, including Recalibrate. Can she discard down to 7 at end of her turn, and play the Recalibrate, getting its extra effect because she discarded a card this turn? Okay, so in order to get a good answer to this question, we're going to need to do a little bit of digging into what actually happens at the end of a player's turn. The ending phase in a Magic turn is broken up into 2 steps, the end of turn step and the cleanup step. The part where players discard down to their maximum hand size is in the cleanup step. That means that it's bad news for Amy. This is because players ordinarily don't get priority to cast spells or activate abilities in the cleanup step, which means that the play, as described, is not generally going to be possible. But wait, I said not ordinarily. What is that all about? Well, it turns out that if a triggered ability happens during a cleanup step, or if a state-based action happens during a cleanup step, then players do get priority to cast spells and activate abilities during that step, which means that if we can find a way for either of those things to happen, that means that Amy will get to do this play just like she hopes. Alright, so what can we do then? Well, it turns out to be very difficult to get a state-based action to happen during the cleanup step, especially if you're going to do it in such a way that you wouldn't also be getting a triggered ability to trigger. I tried to think for a while about how I could maybe make this happen, but I wasn't able to get any really promising situations. If you have an idea, then be sure to leave it in the comments. In contrast, getting a triggered ability to trigger during the cleanup step is relatively straightforward. In fact, there's one solution that comes to mind pretty readily: Madness. The thing that lets you play a Madness card is itself a triggered ability, and it triggers when you discard the card. That means that if the card Amy discarded due to having 8 cards in hand was a card that had Madness, then she could respond to the Madness trigger by casting Recalibrate, and she would be able to get the extra effect that way. In fact, due to the way that timing and priority works, she could even cast the Madness spell, wait for it to resolve, and only then cast the Recalibrate. There's a time when she has priority in order to do that as well, which is a pretty cool trick. Okay, so there's one more thing that I feel like I should warn everybody about. If you have priority during the cleanup step, the game will have another cleanup step immediately after that one, and this process will repeat itself until no player gets priority during the final cleanup step, at which point the game will finally be able to move on to the next player's turn. It's pretty obvious why this sort of thing is in the rules. I mean, otherwise you might have a situation where damage is able to persist through one turn into another player's turn, or you might have a player be able to cheat on their maximum hand size by drawing some cards after the cleanup step makes them discard down to 7, and there's all kinds of other weirdo things that might happen. The cleanup step is meant to, well, clean up all these types of things, which means that there's a specific rule in place, this one, that keeps those types of things from happening. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again tomorrow for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.